Today's project is going to be turn this pea bed over so that it's ready for the peas and get this row cover back up. We are expecting pretty cold freeze for 3 nights next week, so I do want to get these guys covered back up. I have someone who's going to give me some PVC pipes, but I don't have those yet and I need the row covers now, so I'm going to try to make an arch with this bamboo. Now this bamboo is basically free. All it cost me was the time and trouble to cut it down and strip the leaves and let it dry. You can see my tomato cages there. Not sure how I ended up with quite so many of those. So I'm going to pick out these bamboo pieces and see if I can configure some sort of hoop for the raised beds. And I've got my roll of sinew and my scissors to try and put those together. So we will see how this goes. I looked at my garden map and I'm going to need all of this bed except for this last 2 sections for the early spring crops. So I'm going to have to get busy filling these up. Now you can probably tell there are lots and lots of leaves over there. So I'm going to be piling some of those into the bed before I can put the soil on top. So today I'm going to be working on the pea bed down there. Pea bed right there. Working on getting some stuff into here. I've got a whole lot of leaves that I can pick up and put in here. Got my trusty wagon. This actually came out of the camping department and it's collapsible. Loosen up the strap. Push it down. Put your bottom liner in there. You're good to go. Got my water. Got my gloves. Time to get to work. Okay, I got all the leaves out of the front yard. Well, not all the leaves, but all of the leaves that were raked up into a pile. So now I'm going to take these, put them down there to feed my garden. Once I put the soil down here, it's going to smash those a lot, and of course the rain will help too. So the 2 other things that I want to get done today are turning over this pea bed. I'm going to get the shovel and do that. It's pretty muddy still, but turning it over will help it dry out. And then I'm going to go get the bamboo, and I'm going to try and make arches for the row cover so I can put it back, because when I plant these guys outside, I do want them to have a little bit of frost protection, because who knows how cold it might get. We're still a few weeks away from the end of winter. Okay, I've got a dozen pieces of bamboo here, and they're not as flexible as I'd hoped they'd be, so I may have to go more of a teepee style than an arch, but let's give it a try. It didn't break, but I don't think it's quite tall enough to go all the way across. Or on the other side. Gonna have to figure out a better way of marking these things. The plastic markers work fine for the greenhouse, but out here they're not so hot. I think that says radish. maybe carrot. I don't know. Clean those off and reuse them. Okay, I have them at every 4 feet. So let's see how we can put these together. Huh, that might actually work. When I picked this up, I couldn't figure out why it was so heavy, and then I realized it's full of rainwater. There's ice in there. Oh, that's brilliant. It's a chunk of ice. Okay, I've got the tape measure, but this is going to take a while to thaw out. Oh my goodness. I want about 7.5 feet of arch. What is that bird? Do you hear that crazy bird? 7 feet, so if I do 7 feet, that would leave 6 inches on either side. If you don't have a roll of sinew, I'd suggest investing in one. This stuff is wonderful for tying things together. Just below that one. Don't take your eyes off that one. And I broke my string. Well, that took a little bit of figuring out, but it looks like it might actually work. And this is still a chunk of ice. So at this cross right here, I'm just doing a sort of a figure 8. Get the stalks to stop sliding. And then with sinew, I always tie it at least 3 times, going from the opposite direction each time. So right to left, left to right, and then right to left again. Another nice thing about bamboo is when you're tying it up for anything, this is what I used to trellis the gourds last year, you can find little notches in the stalks where the leaves were, and that kind of gives you something to hook the sinew around. Kind of gives it a little extra stability. One of the good things about sinew too is if your knot slips a little bit before you get it good and tight, you can just sort of pull on it and that knot will slide down to where it's tight. It's pretty useful when you're working with something that's got a tensile strength like this. It's a little difficult. Now I'm just going to break these off. Sinew is also nice because you don't need a great big thick piece of it to tie securely. It is super strong stuff. I've rarely had a piece of sinew fail. Now it will eventually decay being out in the elements and come apart, but for the purposes of a garden season, that's not going to be an issue. By fall, I hope I will have the PVC pipe. One more for this bed. I'm debating whether or not to do that other one. They have been okay so far, and they are plants that I'm going to pull up pretty soon because, like I said, I need to move that soil into the bed. Alrighty, here it is. It's not the prettiest job in the world, but it should be functional. And since this is still a chunk of ice, I'm going to cut a new piece of row cover. I need to leave enough down here at the end that I can pull it together, close it up. So we're going to give that about maybe 1.5 feet. I didn't need to worry about that before because it was flat, so it's a good thing I remembered that. And in this case, it looks like the wind is actually going to help me a little bit instead of causing problems. Now to hold this on, I've seen people use binder clips and I've seen people use wire, but I don't have either one of those, and wire seems a little fiddly to me, so I'm going to use my handy dandy clothespins. Things like, you know, sun and rain are going to deteriorate the wood and they'll eventually fall apart. But that's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. And since I'll be lifting it from the side when I lift it up to plant things or to check things or to harvest things, I'm going to get some pins and pin this end down. The goal is to be able to lift it from the side so that I'm not having to pull up all those pins and then put them back in. Well, hello, spider. I'm going to be working from that side. Maybe I can pin this side too because it doesn't seem to want to tuck. Always have a plan B. I'm really going to have to figure out what to do with this bed. I really had some poor planning going on last year. Alright, now I'll just put some pins on that side and get to digging the pea bed. Well, I know it looks a little cockeyed, but sometimes when you improvise, that's what happens. It's going to be okay. I think that after these next 3 freezes, we're going to have 3 consecutive nights that are freezing. And I think after that, I may bring those trays of seedlings down here to finish hardening off and just put them under the row cover. And then after they've been under there for a couple of days, go ahead and set them in the garden. I do need to get them out of the house because I need the space in the greenhouse. I can only get 8 trays in my mini greenhouse. And right now they are all full, and the only one that did not come outside today is the peppers and the microgreens. Now, I'm enjoying the microgreens, but I don't think I'll grow those anymore once this packet of seeds is used up because they do take up valuable space in the mini greenhouse, and I really need to get those cleaned out so that I can use the space for the tomato plants that I'm going to start and a few other things. I did start some gourd seeds yesterday. I planted the nest egg and the Tennessee dancing gourds, which I'm super excited about because they're just cute as a button. And the loofah gourds I had soaking in water overnight, and then I took and ran them a little bit over an emery board to kind of scarify them because that's what the directions say will help them germinate. So I'm going to get those put into some seed starting mix this afternoon. And the next thing will be turning over this pea bed. You'll notice I've been procrastinating about that, but it's time to shovel. Okay, I need 6 feet by 4 feet. Still pretty wet. I'm guessing that I will not be able to till this by the time the peas need to be planted. But I can come out here and turn it over again and break it up after it dries out just a little bit. I'll just figure it out as I go. Last year I put down some cardboard and I don't see any trace of that cardboard now. It's completely gone. But turning this over into the soil is going to help. Oh, there's a nice big earthworm. 2 of them actually. Or it might be one I cut in half. Hope not. Sorry, guys. Of course, you all know that big healthy earthworms are a sign of good soil. So the big chunky earthworms make me happy. More sticks. Thanks a lot, trees. I hope I'm not planting acorns by turning this over. Last year I pulled up a lot of little oak trees. That giant tree right there dumps a lot of acorns on the place. Going at an angle. I'm also going to have to figure out what to use for a trellis for the peas once I get them planted. I think it will probably be bamboo. One thing I have plenty of, and it's free. The soil is a little looser. It's nice. You can see the difference between this and that. This is darker. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. This is hard work, but I kind of enjoy it, to tell you the truth. It's good to have something physical to do, especially after you've been cooped up in the house for weeks and not able to be outside because of rain or cold. We haven't had a lot of snow, but a ton of rain. It's either bamboo or bamboo. Stuff is insidious. It's a little warm in my flannel out here. This is turned over, so now hopefully it'll dry out a little bit, and then I can come down here and either till it or turn it over again with the shovel if it's not dry enough to till, and then it'll be ready for my peas. I have a couple more big piles of leaves over here that I'm going to scoop up and put in that bed with the weed barrier to get started filling that. And then I think I'm done outside for today. I did some research on how to know when to harvest the garlic, so now I know what to look for. It's going to be a while apparently, since all these leaves are still really green. I thought that was a carrot. Speaking of using what you have, yeah, lots of leaves. Oops, I still have a wagon full. Alrighty, now I just need to get in here and stomp these down a little bit. Hope they don't blow away before I can get some soil on top. Alright, that is it for outside today, except I still have to go and fill up my pot for planting my ginger, and I've got some compost and some topsoil out there I'm going to mix together for that, because that doesn't need to be seed starting mix. And then I will plant my loofah seeds, and then for supper tonight we're going to have a big old pot of chili. I hope everyone's day has been as beautiful as this one has been for me. I wish you all blessings. Thanks for watching. Linda from my Quirky Quarter Acre, signing off. Until next time.